Hello and good morning. This is Andy McCann coming to you from Woodstock, Georgia, where I own a CrossFit Garage, and I'm trying to help you live a long, functional life. I want to help you lay a firm foundation in fitness, food, and finance to, get you to the end where you're functional, you're enjoying it, you're doing the stuff, and then I guess if it was perfect, you would die overnight with all your faculties and abilities or something, or die excitingly. As one of my buddies says, I want to die at the hands of a jealous husband. I don't really think that's what you want to do, but you get the point. You're out there, you're moving, you're doing stuff and things, and you're enjoying life. So a thing that we talk about all the time are the 5 pillars of this longevity, functional longevity. It's how you eat, sleep, move, think, and connect. So the other thing I'm going to kind of jump in today is time. What happens to your time? It's not a piece of that. It should be in there. You need to use your time wisely, as it is one of the few resources you can never get back. I suppose a resource like trust is something that's hard to get back as well, but time specifically, when you lose it, it's gone. When you abuse it, it's gone. If you don't utilize what you've got, then in the future, it could be gone. So a thing I'd like to talk about today is it never actually gets any easier until maybe you get to the empty nest phase and you're thinking to yourself, well, I'll just do it later in a later phase. I will, because I'll have more time. The real answer is you never have more time. You just need to make yourself do the things you have to do. Yeah, so spoiler. Plan the stuff that you want to do now and add it to your life and make it work. So if you're thinking to yourself, I'd like to work out eventually, well, eventually never comes. When classes are done, or when work is less stressful, or when the mortgage is paid off, or whatever, it just never really works out the way you think it does, because the other stage that you're going to and the one you just left, the time demands are going to be different, because 1, you've never been there, and 2, you were there and you're reminiscing of the days. So it's always going to be tough. It'll never be super simple and super easy. So you have to put that together and just do it. So I'm going to run through these phases. It doesn't matter what phase you're in. If you're like me and you're in your 50s, you're going to laugh at some of the younger things. If you're a younger person because your parents said, hey, you should listen to this, then you're going to hear some of this and say, I don't know if I believe it's true. But every adult will tell you this is exactly how it is. You think you have no time right now as a young person, but in reality, you probably have the most you'll ever have until you get to the empty nest syndrome. This has been great. I enjoy my family immensely. I enjoy working with them. I enjoy hanging out with them. I enjoy being around. I enjoy being a dad that is there and shows up. But as they need you less, because that's how it works, and they have their own lives because that's how it works, it's fun to get back to my own stuff. And I'm realizing, I can do literally whatever I want because nobody really demands or needs dad time, right? So yeah, it's still there and we still do stuff. But you see what I'm saying is you get used to working under all this pressure of I have to work, I have to do my other side hustle, then I got my dad hustle or mom hustle, whatever, and I have to be a spouse as well. So all of this stuff really crunches down on your time. You learn to become very effective with your time. So there is no better way to get stuff done than to hand it to a busy person. And that's true in life. You will find later on in this phase right now, I can tell you, I can take a deep breath and things feel well because I took the time to do the things I should early on. And I'm going to go through those things, not the things that I did, but some of the, I reminisce, hopefully give you guys an opportunity to think I should put a plan in place. So that's what we're going to go into. So if you're an adult, a long-time adult, some of this stuff will resonate. Things like, there is no later. Free time is a myth. I mean, it's not really a myth. You can make it, but you're always stealing from one area to give to another. So free time, is it super selfish? Am I going golfing all the time? Like, it does matter what you call free time, and I suppose we should probably define some of the terms and words, but you know me, I'm pretty loose on all this stuff. So another aspect is like people ask you, why is your schedule so full? What's going on? And what can I do about it? And when does it free up? I mean, that's another one. We all face that. I think the thing that I really, though, want to get across is the idea of people, like, they wait. Maybe that's the title of this. I should call it, like, waiting for your life to slow down or something. But they're like, I will do the thing when it gets easier and slower or better. Or, like, I'll have kids when we're ready. You're never ready. Just be married and then go have kids. It's a little bit better way to do it. All right, another one that I hear a lot of my folks say is, once the kids are older, then I will travel, or we will travel. I don't actually have a big thing on travel. It's not really my shtick. There are some that are like, man, that's where it's all at. Getting out and seeing the new and different stuff. I don't know. It just doesn't do anything for me. I'll go do it, but it's not, I'd rather do a thing than see a thing, usually. The other one is that I hear this one all the time. I will focus on my health after the busy season is over. Man, by that time it's too late. This is the weird thing. Men die like 400% more once they turn 50. But in 50, you start to get some of that free time back. You start to get some time. So you're kind of dead before you get there, or at least you're on your way to dying early before you have a chance to even, experience it. I guess maybe a thing that I would say is it's like life doesn't really actually get easier or less full. It just gets different. So in that understanding that it's going to be different, it's just a different type of stress, that then it can help you understand what you can and can't do with your time. For example, this is coming up a lot for us because I got 2 kids graduating college. They're like, hey, what happens next? In reality, I never said much about this next phase. I'm like, oh, you get a job and you live your life. Like, you're on your own, freedom, yay. So I'm going to make some words up. Olivia didn't really say this stuff, but I can see the angle that she's taking. She's like, I will, I don't know, do more outside, like camping and whatever, once I get to work at my job because I'll have time to do it. I will do this or that because I'll be at my job and I'll have time to do it. What she doesn't know, or at least we've talked about it, and these kids coming out don't really think about, is college is like a super easy time. It's just weird when you have a test and you got to cram, or a project and it changes your schedule. So work becomes super consistent, but it does take like a third of your day. So a third sleeping, a third working, and the other third is yours. What do you do with it? There's time before work, there's time after work, and you can plan things, but unless you put the plan into action, then work just becomes your thing. And you, like many men, many guys, just spend all day working, and then their families are like, hey, Dad, where are you? And they're like, well, I'm earning the money, right? And I know this is the other way around too. Sometimes it's all the women working. You get me. I'm not trying to be sexist or whatever the words are. I'm just trying to paint the picture. So I guess I would push you guys into this idea. It's not really about like unbusying your life. It's more about deciding what matters. So you don't get to find the time. We all have 24 hours, right? You can sleep less. I don't know if that's a great answer, but you could. But if you understand what matters to you, and then you lean into it some. For example, I would like to be around when my kids have kids. In order for me to get to that, I kind of need to be a bit focused on my health and my nutrition, my sleep, all that stuff, right? So if you're not going to focus on it ever, or until like way, way, way down the road, then I don't know, you're probably missing the opportunity. Something is better than nothing. Again, I'm in that phase, that 50-plus-year-old, where all of my friends are saying, hey, Andy, I got this bad doctor review for blood, whatever. What do I do about that? I would love to talk to you. It's not too late. It's getting to be too late, but you can do things right now in your 50s to promote longevity. I was talking with Evan at the gym. He's back from college and actually just finished, what is today, the 4th? So he just finished on the 4th, his last project. So technically he's done. He just has to go back for graduation. Anyway, he came back home and we've been going to the gym together. And he said, hey, what can I do to help you help them, like squat to proper depth or to move at the proper range of motion? I'm like, yeah, it's a tough one. We ask for it, but we don't really enforce it. And sometimes people get irritated when you mention it too much. You kind of have to feel it out. So he said, but don't they know that it's important? I'm like, well, I mean, I think they do, but not exactly. And it really comes down to education. I'm like, I don't know what else I can do. I have a podcast. I do videos. I do all sorts of stuff. I don't know. And I send them individually to people. I don't know. So he said, don't they realize that even so he's suffering, he's fighting through Crohn's. He's doing pretty good with it. And he says, don't they realize that even someone like me who's kind of sick, when I go to squat, they look like me. So wouldn't they want to squat better so that if they do get sick, then they're just like me, not when they get sick, they're worse off. I'm like, I know, we talk about that. And so it's a thing. He sees it, I see it, and is it important? I mean, yes and no. So rule number 1 is show up. It's not squat to depth. But if you catch me when I'm coaching, I will always tell you the reason we do squat to depth, wall ball to the above the line throw, is to get everything we can out of the movement. We're greedy. We want it all. If I squat low and throw high on the wall ball like we had today, then I'm going to get more of what it's to deliver. Yes, I'm getting cardio. Yes, I'm getting a little bit of strength, but there's a lot of other things happening. And if you will slow down a tiny bit to have a better range of motion, you will gather those things too. But it just comes down to, is it important to you? You guys are showing up to the gym. That's important. Great. add a tiny bit more, get more bang for your buck. I always like that. I'm like one of the reasons I really love CrossFit is it has got to be the biggest no-brainer in the history of no-brainers because it literally works and you just have to show up and work out. Like today, what did we work out for? Like 21 minutes is what I did. And I'm going to be able to do things like this TNGA. I have it pulled up right here. Let's see if I can pull this bad boy up. Yeah, so the Trans North Georgia bike packing race. So I plan on doing that one very soon. Okay, so let's start off with, I'm in school. I'm going to really go with high school because up until high school, it's really just your parents telling you what to do. In high school, you kind of start developing your own self of like, hey, I do and don't want to do these things. So there becomes a choice. And I get it. Sports are important. Grades are important too. How important? What do we want to get out of this? Many times I hear a kid say like, hey, I'll get serious in college. Well, dang, man, it's kind of too late. College just care what you did in high school. So if you don't really get serious with your grades and stuff, then I don't know, what are you going to do? Like if you're a kid who has got no dreams or aspirations and is living in the basement at your parents' house and they still give you money, I mean, how is that going to work in 30 years? What does that look like? It probably doesn't look good. In 30 years, let's see, for me, I'd be 80, so I'd be close to death. Could we still be affording to give you that stuff? No, I mean, I want to retire and use my money. I don't want to give it to you. So if you're a kid in this situation, you need to be thinking to yourself, what do I do next? It's not hard. The plan is very well laid out. I work and I get money and I use money to exchange it for everything else. Yeah, so that works. But if you're thinking to yourself, well, when I'm a parent, I'll get serious. When I'm at college, I'll get serious. No, I mean, you should probably get kind of serious about some of the things right now because it does aim the trajectory of your life. I know it doesn't seem like it because, well, one, you know everything, you're a teenager. And two, like, how can adults be so on my back? They're always on me. They're the rules, the laws, right? They're the deciders. We do what the deciders have decided, like they said in the song. It's an old song. You'd have to go back and look that one up. So I think what I'd tell you, if you're there in this phase now, you have more control than you think you do. You just don't know how to exercise it. Ask your parents, hey, what do I do to exert control over the consistency of habits and the things that I want to do, or building discipline, right? How do I do that? They'll probably help you. Parents, if they're like, yeah, I don't know how to do any of that, just have them come talk to me. It's so much easier talking to somebody else's kid than your own kid. They just don't want to listen. So you think, well, I'll do this in college. Okay, let's pretend we're in college. You got a super flexible schedule. When you're in high school, you're going to school something like 8 a.m. to like 3 p.m. So that's what, a solid 7 hours of school, something like that. So you have 8 hours of school, much like work. You're in 8 hours a day, right? Or is that 6? I don't know. It's some amount of hours. When you get to college, your schedule is super flexible. They do say like, hey, you're taking, I don't know, like 15 hours of classes, but those hours are spread out in a weird way. So you may have 2 classes on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then maybe 2 more classes that are Tuesday and Thursday. And that's it. You're like, wait a minute, that's an hour or an hour and a half each day. How does that add up to 15 hours of schoolwork? I know. And then you have homework and projects and all that. Your schedule is probably the most flexible it will ever be, and your freedom is the highest it'll ever be in college. A lot of who you are will be decided right there. And I know people who've pulled out of the nosedive in college or in their first job, so it's possible. But you also are under a lot of social pressure and you're thrown out late nights and I don't know, you get pulled in directions, which is great. Friendships are awesome, but it makes your routines super inconsistent. If you treated college like a job, it would be a lot easier. You'd probably have better grades. And weirdly, you'd probably get more free time because you are ahead of stuff. Like it's much easier to go into a final with a 97 than it is to go into a final with a 90, hoping that you still get an A, right? So you need to make a 90 on the exam as well, or maybe an 89.5 or something. So there are some traps we fall into though. Oops, I had you paused. Maybe I didn't unpause it. My bad. So what I was saying though is you trade health for experiences. I'm going to smoke that weed. I'm going to drink that beer. I'm going to snort that cocaine. I'm going to do things with people, but I don't know their background, right? So you're trading in these experiences, which I guess could be cool, but could damage you a lot or leave you with lingering gifts. And it's your health. It's your choices now that reflect later on. Like I know people who did some, what do you do, like LSD hallucinogens, and then it stores that in your fat. And then one day your body burns that fat and you get hit with another, what do they call that? Like another dream, whatever. You get a fat burn sent into the mushroom land, right? So you got to watch out for that. You don't want to trade health. Yes, experiences, but don't trade off the health. The other one is just like in high school. Look, I'll get disciplined once I get a job. Yeah, see, now you see the trap. You see it's happened twice. If you're in college now thinking, yeah, I'll get disciplined later. I mean, I don't know. Why don't you just do it now? You can predict someone's outcomes by what they're doing now. I'll give you a great example. Oliver Mullinex, he said, hey, I am interested in helping out with summer strength. What do I need to do? Do I need to apply? Do I need to have a resume, whatever? And it was not exactly that was the text, but it was something down that road. I replied back, hey, buddy, your life and how you live it and lead it and the things you do and the character that you show is your business card. I would hire you at a drop of a hat. Even if I didn't have a real job for you, I'd come up with something. You're that solid of a young man. And that's awesome. Can people say that about you? I mean, if they can't, then you're battling people like Oliver for jobs and promotions and opportunities. Experiences are great, but if you don't, step into it, then you're losing the opportunity. So I have 2 kids that are graduating college. Both of them did something hard, chemical engineering and computer science. Yes, it's a weird time to be graduating because the job market is not great. And AI is, pushing that even more. So what do? I mean, Evan, he's not sitting here right now, but he puts in the time. He gets on to the websites that have all the jobs and he applies. He actually has been going through the member list, going into LinkedIn and say, who do we know? And are they in computer science-y field? If the answer is yes, he's like, hey, this is Evan from the gym, Andy's son. Can we talk? So I think Londell said, hey, your son texted me or hit me on LinkedIn. I'm like, yep, probably so. So he's making these choices. He's a stand-up guy. He does the work. Yep, doesn't have a job at the moment. So did it all work out? Did he waste time? Maybe. I don't think so because this is the natural steps or the natural journey is, either I am going to go into business for myself, which is tough to do right off the bat, or I am going to work for somebody else. I meant to show you this. So I went to Parkview High School. I was going to throw in some stories. Totally forgot to do it. I will say, though, I went to Georgia Tech, and I was going to share some stories here. I learned at Georgia Tech that if I sat down for 4 hours before a final, I could figure everything out and go into the final and do pretty good. But I needed to give myself 4 hours. So it was a place to learn something about myself. Do I recommend that for everybody? No. I feel like Georgia Tech was way harder as a college than it ever really needed to be. And I actively told my kids I wouldn't go there. But maybe that's the right answer. Maybe they should have. I started getting disciplined more at Georgia Tech. High school was not very tough for me. So I did have some study habits. But I was probably more making up for the other shortcomings, dyslexia and ADHD and all that stuff. Georgia Tech showed me that I needed to continue to work hard because everyone else was legitimately smarter. Like I said, my daughter is graduating from Auburn and Evan is graduating from UGA. We decided to do things like soccer. Was it important? And I want my kids to have something that would push on them to cause hardship, but not cause damage. What is that? We chose competitive soccer. Was it the right choice? Man, I don't know. But it was something that in the end did not matter, but it felt like it did. So it gave them an artificial push and they rose to the challenge. We've talked about this as a family and the kids. There's literally never been a thing that if they really wanted to strive for it, they haven't been able to do in terms of this soccer program or school. Now, I want to make the next better team. Yes, eventually that does cut off. But getting into club or whatever, travel soccer, you can get there. Yes, it depends on the level. To get anywhere in that level, you have to put the time in. And so that's what sort of they developed was the how-to. Was it for you or for your kids? Man, I don't know. I do know that it's a place to teach discipline, delayed gratification, and earning what you want. Again, having that pressure against you is awesome when the stakes are low. Same thing at college. Man, the stakes are low. The worst thing that can happen is you get a bad grade. So try to set up good habits, lifelong habits, when it doesn't matter too much and you can lean on that habit later on. So what do they say? We don't rise to the level of our training. Usually we fall to the level of our systems. So the systems, the things the habits that you have in place, you'll always do. Before going to bed, I brush my teeth. The habit of going to bed has reinforced that I will brush my teeth before going to bed. If I don't go to bed, I will forget to brush my teeth. So you see how that works? Maybe. I think college would be a great time to lock in some of the routines that either someone has said you should have or you have deduced that you should have, or just like some of the outlook that you want. I want to be an outdoorsy frisbee golf type of person. Great. Start that in college, build the habits, find the groups. And then when you go off for your job, it'll ride along with you. You won't have to then create it. Okay, so the next step, then you get a job. My first job was with a company that doesn't exist anymore. It was called TTC, Telecommunication Techniques Corporation, then was purchased and changed and whatever, and eventually was JDS Uniphase, which has then sold to somebody else. I think it's Viv, I don't know how to say it, Solutions. And I think everything is a commodity in there now. So they've been able to commoditize all of my brains and make testing way easier for the network out there like Bell South. Anyway, part of it is when you get that new job, you get a lot of stress that you didn't know was going to come. Yes, there is stress. Yes, there is a freedom of, hey, I'm going to show up to work, but there's stress of getting the job done and doing it well. And there should be pride on the line for that. There can be long hours and you may feel like I need to prove myself. Maybe not everyone feels like that, but you should, as a business owner, you should do the things that helps the owner out because that's where your money comes from, right? I definitely would love it when the coach is like, hey, do you need any hand? I mean, no, not usually, but thank you for asking. I think a part that you guys may not experience for a while is this idea of I lost time in my commute, or maybe I have commute fatigue. So what I did as I was driving around my sales job, commuting, if you will, is I found books on tape and podcast. Well, it wasn't really podcasts at the time. It was, I guess, CDs of improvement and self-help and all that. So I listened and made my commute or my drives a time for building myself up with audio. You can still do that now. The iPhones and whatever make it so much easier. Now, this right here is a podcast and a video. You could do that right now, right? So you'll think to yourself, well, I'm just going to grind it out and I'll fix it later. Again, this phase of life doesn't have a natural ending like college and high school does. Hey, you graduated, you're out. Usually you just go get the next job, you promote yourself on, or not promote yourself, but you know what I mean? You move on, you move up, something. So there's no real like, this will end. It usually is a phase of life change, like married or kids or whatever, that then you're like, uh-oh. I'm just saying, don't get trapped in the uh-oh. The time crunch is real because people depend on you and you're there 8 hours a day-ish, right? I get it. Some of you guys are remote and it's not really that bad. I know for sure. But this would be an awesome opportunity, if you haven't already, to start putting the things in place, like if you have to drive to the office. Well, if you leave at the normal times, it takes an hour and a half, let's say. I don't know. It takes an hour to get to the office when you leave at the normal time. But if you found, a CrossFit gym over there by the office, that you could also shower. I guess you'd need to shower. So if you went early, worked out, showered, and then went to work, man, you would save yourself a commute time and get one of the things out of the way while meeting friends and being able to talk to people and building a community. Now, I'd probably say CrossFit around home because home is probably where you're going to be most often, whereas work may move around. You may change jobs. So I would always lean into where do I work and what am I going to do? Where do I live? Not where do I work? And I would set up things around that. It's just much easier, especially with the family side of it, to do it around home. I think also what happens on this is you find that you missed opportunities because you didn't really set up any boundaries. And a boundary could be a good thing to say, I am not interested in that. For example, I had on my goal list, hey, I'd like to possibly be in politics. Let me go figure out what I should do. Well, I bought a book. You can come in. I bought a book and it was how to win a local election. And they said the first thing you should do is go ask your mom if she would vote for you. If she wouldn't, then don't run. I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny. And the next thing it said to do is go to a city council meeting and see if you even like what they're doing. Immediately I realized, oh yeah, they do Robert's Rule of Order. And I hated that back at student government for college. So yeah, I'm not interested in this at all. So I wrote it off my list. I created a boundary that I didn't have to go back over, right? I knew that was nothing for me. And everybody said, hey, would you like to support? Sure, here's money, but not my time. I do not want to give my time up to you because you can't get that back. So I think the other thing besides boundaries is creating non-negotiables. Like I will have my fitness. Don't let that go. I will eat healthy. I will have clean lungs. I don't know, something that you know you're going to take with you, these habits, these things that'll go with you the whole time. So when you're working, you're not going to have extra time, but you will be free with time and money to do whatever you want. Choose wisely. Okay, so then eventually you get married, you're going to have kids, and you're going to think to yourself, I'll have so much time I can dedicate to the people that love me. No, it goes away because those kids want certain things and other people are going to trap you in the idea of you must do, I don't know, the next club soccer level. And you'll just go along with the flow. I would say try really hard not to go along with the flow. Come up with your own parenting styles. Maybe overlap some of them. Like, I also like health and fitness and I like my children. Could I bike with my children in tow? Yes, you can. I did that. Actually, one time I was biking with, I think, Evan, and maybe it was another kid in the little like trolley behind me. And I hit the curb kind of funny. And it actually like turned the whole thing sideways. I stopped and it skidded to a stop. And I got out. I was like, dude, are you okay? And he was like, yeah, that was fun. I'm like, yeah, sure. That was fun. That was supposed to happen. It was not supposed to happen, but everybody was okay. So try things out. You're going to have shared responsibilities. You're going to have to negotiate between other people's time frames. You will have less independence because now you have a partner or kids and they demand different things. Yes, you kind of get to set the rules, but not always, right? Not the way you think. I'll say one thing that I definitely lost track of at work. I knew who I was, but at home, there was less of me and more of dad or husband. And it's more apparent now as the kids are older. And one of the, like Evie will say, you've changed so much in the last year. I'm like, well, the weird thing is I haven't. I'm 52. I don't really change that much. It's you that are changing. And of course, kids push back. They're like, it's not me that's changing. I've been me the whole time. You're like, no, you're going through a lot of change, puberty, all sorts of stuff. You're the one that's changing. They just think it's us. And that happens through the rest of your life. So don't lose who you are, but instead lean into it. Hey, I do adventure races. I'm going to do these all the time. My family knows I like to do this and I'm going to try to bring them along with me. I tried to get my kids to go along with me and they all hated it. Evie was the last one and a later one. And she enjoyed it a bit, especially when we got an electric bike, but it's not her jam. So I guess what I'd throw in there is build a lifestyle together, create routines and goals that you can both agree on, even if they're not the same one. It could be like, I like gardening. Well, I don't know, dirt. That doesn't work. I like gardening and I like hiking. How can we put those together? Maybe it's we go for a hike as I throw tomato seeds out on the trail. So maybe some of them will grow. I don't know. But you can come up with something that combines the goals that are close enough that you can overlap and come up with things that you both might enjoy. Probably the toughest phase of life is this one. I'm going to show some pictures of in Facebook of the family. It's probably my favorite is the dad husband era of life, but it is the most, it's trying to get things done and can be tough. So having 4 kids, you really need to get efficient if you want to do anything else. So there's a lot of chaos. Rein that stuff in, create a plan. There's a lot of sleep deprivation, especially right at the beginning. It is funny watching the newer parents, like with a kid going, I didn't realize you had to wake up every 4 hours and feed your kid. I'm like, weirdly, you don't. When you have your 4th kid, you're going to realize the baby will sleep through the night because you'll sleep through the night and realize, oh, look at that. The baby slept through the night. Everything is fine. And your baby will eat when he wakes up or she wakes up in the morning. It's totally fine. So yeah, you don't have to do it the way they set it up. Now, I get it. Most everyone does it and they say do it these ways. Sure, go for it. But it doesn't have to work that way. So you get to set your own agenda. You don't have to listen to theirs. I think the biggest trap in this one is, I'll take care of myself later. This doesn't matter right now. I'll fill in the blank with whatever excuse it is. Oh, I'm trying to get to some pictures. There we go. I got some pictures of me and the kids going to the Lenfoot hiking. This is an early one. Wow, how old is this? Let's see if I can click on this picture and see if it'll tell me the dates. Yeah, 2009. So Facebook had just come out. This is Evan and Levi at mile 1.2 for the Lenfoot hike-in. We went a lot. So a lot of those trips probably blur together in their mind, but it's stuff like this. I want to spend time with the kids, but I enjoy the outdoors. How can I combine those two with like an overnighter? Well, I can't maybe bring all that stuff camping-wise and pack it all. That's just too much. But we can hike to the Lenfoot hike-in, which is a motel in the woods, and they'll feed us. This is going to be great. So we did a lot of that. I think another good one here is, hey, I'll do it later. No, you need to do it now. You need to model to your kids what you find important, so maybe they'll find it important. Like you need to show them, in this case, investing or my health and fitness or my relationship with your mom or whatever is important so they see that. And I know that I messed up on some of these, not really thinking ahead, yet here we are ahead. And I can tell you, you guys should be looking at this. Anyway, my point is, it doesn't get really any easier to set up the things you really want to do or to take care of your health later on, because it's always rough. There's always a time crunch. Probably the worst is I'm married, I have kids and a job. That's going to be the biggest crunch. But if you're intentional about it, especially early, then you can build the routines to help you move on that journey a whole lot easier. So we're about to hit the empty nest phase, and I'm going to tell you, I am getting my time back here. I'm also trying to rediscover identity. So it's an interesting thing to not realize that had slipped by and then be here now and going, yeah, I should have listened to the therapist out there saying, hey, you should be paying attention to this. I think a thing that did not happen to me that I see happening to my friends is the physical decline. It's obvious. You can see it. And the worst part is they're like, no, I'm good. And they're not. They're getting the doctor's reports. It's happening now. This is the, oops, I died. And they could do something about it now. But I mean, at 50 and 60, it's like, oh no, how do I turn this Titanic? It's not much time or room to turn it. I think the other thing that people don't really realize is that if you didn't build it early on, like Evan was talking to me today about a good squat, then it's harder to capture it later on because you just don't have it. So if you can build in good range of motion now, when you're 80 and you have it now, you'll probably have it then if you keep moving with it. If you're thinking to yourself, well, I'll get better eventually, you won't. If you don't have great range of motion ability now, and you don't fix it now, it doesn't magically get fixed later on. It actually becomes harder to do that. I guess my biggest point there is that it's not really a function of time and I'm too busy. It's really a function of what is your priorities. Did you create boundaries? And do you know yourself? Do you have an identity in who you want to be? And you can change that as you go. That's totally fine. But you need to know what that is. I know, like Stephen Covey has a book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And he says in there, start with the end in mind. What do you want people to say about you when you're dead? This picture right here is what I want them to say. I want them to say, man, Andy was really into family time and relationships. He took us places and did things with us, experience. Outdoors, he was very healthy and fit. He could do that stuff, right? This is what I want them to say about me. It'd be nice if they could say, well, he left me a lot of money. That'd be nice too. But I don't want that. I want the love and the feelings to come through. Okay. So what do you do now? I think probably if I was to go back into high school, I would probably find someone ahead of me and say, help. Maybe if I'm a, 16-year-old, find a 30-year-old and say, what would it be like for you back then? What you would have done and what would you have set up? And try to aim to that. I would also ask my parents because they are kind of smart, but you just don't think they are. Pick a couple things that you could do exercise-wise. Pick a few things that you could do family connection-wise. Get your sleep in because you need it. It's not complicated, but it's not necessarily easy. Ask advice, right? Pick some things that are non-negotiable to you. Like, I want everyone to know that I'm honest. Great. That's a great non-negotiable. How do you do that? Well, easy one is don't tell a lie. So you need to pick these things that you want to have and then go after them. Not wait till later on because time does not get easier. Also, you don't have to go full tilt into stuff like, hey, I want to be an outdoorsy guy. I'm going to hike the Appalachian Trail. No, you don't have to do that. You could just go for a week hike or a weekend hike. It doesn't matter. Or like we did, we went to the Lenfoot hiking. It is not really what I intended. I wanted my kids to like the outdoors and backpacking, but they're too young. I just couldn't make it all work. I'd have to do a much shorter trip, but instead I decided I'll take the hike in the nature with the amenities of that type of inn, the Immaquahla Falls, the Lenfoot hike in. I will take that and I will walk them around and teach them things rather than carrying the tent. So, the shelter became the tent. Plus, I like to shower, so whatever. They have hot showers there. So doing something beats nothing every time. I like the mindset of stacking things, like the Venn diagram of friendships. I also Venn diagram my stuff like this. So I like to work out and I like my kids. So I kind of find a way to work out with my kids. If you like travel, can you fit that in with your business? I don't really care for travel, but I did do a lot of travel. Date night. How can you include that with some other things? Like your spouse likes what? Make the date night part of that somehow, whatever that means to you. And like I said, build up that identity early. I think now I have the idea of live by principles. I live by rules mostly. It's really live by principles. That's where you should get to, because with principles, you know the answer to everything. With rules, there could be some gray, right? But if you have a principle like Friends don't keep score, they just show up. That is a principle in my life. Well, what does that mean? If you're going to ask me something and I can make it happen, by dang, I'm going to make it happen. And I'm not going to ask anything in return. So friends don't keep score, they just show up. It's a principle. If I ask Andy, I better be ready for him to say yes. A rule would be home before midnight. Well, I mean, why? Well, the principle is stay alive. Usually weird stuff happens after midnight for your kids, right? So be home before midnight. That's your curfew. So principles are better than rules. Now I say that, but I always say we have 2 rules at the gym. Rule number 1 is show up. Rule number 2 is don't do anything stupid today that will prevent you from showing up tomorrow. Yes, that is it. But the principle behind what we're doing is we want to be happy, humble, helpful people that are healthy and fit now as well as in our 90s. That's the principle, right? That's the statement. That's what we want. We want longevity, functional longevity. Yes, so there are some rules in there, mostly because they're funny, but also to get people away from trying to always go RX, which is not a rule, and it's never been a rule. It's just something we have to put on the board, really hit the intended stimulus, show up and do stuff. I think I would like to say that there's no phase where your time and your life gets easier, but I actually feel like it is right now with the empty nest. So maybe there is a time, but this can take a while to get there for most of y'all. What you do have is the ability to act and decide, and that's what you need to leverage right now. So act and decide. If you need help, man, you know where you call me, text me, email me. My email address and my phone number are all over my website. If you go to my website right now, and it says, how do I contact me? I'm on my website. If I do contact the garage, contact us. There you go. Does it have look at that. It doesn't have my phone number on there. Oh, there it is right there at the bottom. Connect. My phone number's on there. My email address is on there. Our address for the gym is on there. Yeah, come see us. Come talk to me. I am happy to help. Even help your kids. Even help your family members or your loved ones. Many times it just needs to be said by somebody else because for whatever reason, the people that are close to us, we tend to not to want to trust. I don't know why, but that's just how it goes. All right, guys. Hey, I hope this has been helpful to some of you. Time doesn't really ever get easier. It gets tougher, but you can be disciplined and act and put these things in place to make your life journey be a little bit easier. All right, guys, y'all take care.